Alright, Earthlings, welcome back to the Thundering Dice channel with your boys, the Thundering Dice Brothers, and we are back with another edition of Lore vs. Story, Rings of Power, Season 2, Episode 2, The Return of Halbrand. Because really, not a whole lot actually happens once again in the episode, so I will couch this by saying it is sort of a good episode in the grand scheme of the episodes that we've watched. That doesn't mean that I wasn't sort of bored and that not a lot happened. What we do get a lot of is the illumination that the writers are writing like children and writing for children, because the characters are all incredibly simple. They're incredibly easy to manipulate. They miss really obvious traps and pitfalls set by bad people or bad things or bad vibes. We are introduced to another dark wizard type thing, which is interesting. Maybe that'll matter, because so far not a whole lot has. And as I learn more about the lore, and as I hope that you all do as well, I come to realize more and more that the story just doesn't have anything to do with the lore. Yes, there are rings of power in the Lord of the Rings Tolkien Legendarium. Did they come about this way? No. Do they have these powers? Probably not. Maybe. Is it all sorts of simple, childish, manipulative tricks to get people to do things? Mostly. Is everybody stubborn and one-sided? Yes. So yeah, the writers are sort of dropping the ball on the story. We knew that, but it's just... there's no development and growth. We've got a season plus now of Galadriel not changing. Elrond is just sort of a politician. He's stubborn, I guess.
If anything, he's like regressing into whiny bitch mode. He's instead of wanting to like stop whatever Sauron's plan is, he just decides to, I'm just gonna whittle away in a shed. And then also I'm going to seek advice from Círdan, who I originally went to get him to get rid of the Rings of Power, but he decides not to get rid of the Rings of Power, and he is using one of the Rings of Power right in front of me, but all my ire is pretty much directed at Gil-galad and specifically Galadriel.
And he straight up uses it in the sketchiest way possible. He's like, yes, this has a power over living creatures, and he uses it and
to flop some fish out of the water.
Super suspect right there. Like, it's almost confirming what Elrond is saying. Not that that's actually the truth of the matter, because, to be clear, let's refresh everybody's memories real fast. These rings come about in a different way than they're being shown on screen, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And in fact... these three rings
are the very last ones to be forged, some 360 years after Annatar arrives in Eregion. And Annatar just apparently has just arrived in Eregion. So you have a few centuries of, let's say, tinkering around with ring lore before it actually comes to fruition and Celebrimbor makes them.
And Annatar actually doesn't have a hand in only those three rings. He has a hand in making all the other ones, but Celebrimbor makes those solo. So It's super backwards. Like, if you could make it more backwards, please tell me how. Because I swear to God, they're like, this is a story. I don't like that story. My story is better. We're going to flip it upside down because that's the last thing that they will expect from us.
No, yeah, they absolutely flip it upside down. I mean, they'll probably make the Dwarven rings first and, like men's rings last or something like that, so they can really have the descending order of 3, 7, and 9, because that sounds pithy.
And just from the way that they're presenting this, why... logically, would you present yourself saying we need to make some more rings for men specifically, and then say, I'm not actually a man or even a mortal. In fact, I'm this demigod, and now you're gonna he instantly bows to him too, without any real knowledge of who he is, unless there's some sort of like powerful aura coming off of him that forces people to fall to their knees in awe of his elf awesomeness.
No, because in the lore, Annatar goes to Lindon and tries to enlist Gil-galad for his help, being like, I can, help you create a better kingdom. And both Galadriel and Gil-galad at that point, when it's just Annatar, like, I don't trust you. Something's off about you. You get out of my kingdom. But in Eregion, Celebrimbor and the Smiths are like, ooh, this is a fountain of knowledge. We can improve our craft. We can get to heights no other Noldorian Smith has ever achieved before, especially in Middle Earth. We're definitely welcoming this dude in. So it's a complete flip side. And like I sort of understand suddenly, you know, I mean, like him Halbrand transforming into Annatar, like basically in front of Celebrimbor. There is going to be a certain wow factor there, because even in Middle Earth, creatures don't just transform into other creatures. So like that definitely indicates that this is a person of power. But what type of power is, you know, like left up to like Celebrimbor, like, oh, I don't know if this is good or bad. But even Celebrimbor's already said, men are covetous. We can't make rings for men.
These rings were never made for anybody but elves.
Yeah, exactly.
Including the dwarven rings.
Yeah, like all this shit it's like a backup plan. I mean, sort of. It's like Sauron was like, all right, we need X amount of rings to take care of the elves. Well, all right, then we make them. The War of the Elves happen. Region gets destroyed. I'm giving you some spoilers for lore stuff. The Region gets destroyed. He reclaims a buttload of the rings, then starts doling them out to men and dwarves, and until he demands that the rings get returned to certain people. And like, yeah, it's just like everything that happens is just not this way. He doesn't specifically just like, yes, these rings are specifically for men. These rings are specifically for dwarves. These rings are specifically for elves. Yeah, like they're all meant for elves. Just leave it at that, and then you can be like, oh look, Sauron didn't necessarily have like his master plan already completely thing. He didn't have the poem already written with 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky.
Yeah, like Galadriel has in her little dream.
Yeah, like even if you want to use the MacGuffin bullshit, be like, oh yeah, Narya is kindling her the ability of the unseen world and her foresight. Okay, yeah, sure, you could do that, but in a more clever way. Like, I like the idea of Celebrimbor getting shot through by arrows in that premonition. That's cool, because that's the way he fucking dies. But don't bring the poem in bad black speech to me and expect me to be like, yeah, that works.
Yep. It is very much just a continuation of the case that they don't care about the lore, and they don't care about the story. This is bean counters making what they think is high fantasy.
Yes.
And here's the problem that we're running into. They're treating the audience like children who also have unlimited attention spans, so they're failing there. They're throwing in too many things that harken back to the Lord of the Rings, because that's really all they've got. And when I say harken back to Lord of the Rings, one of the final scenes in this episode is Annatar saying, "You will be the Lord of the Rings." And they finally say, "The Rings of Power." You know, like, oh, it's like Peter and Family Guy. We're like, oh, I saw it. That's what it's called. That's why they called it that. It's so frustrating, because there's a world out there already built. All you have to do is take it and form it onto television. Well, I'm okay with adaptation stuff, but this is beyond adaptation. This isn't just changing and tweaking a little bit so that the medium translates better to a screen. No, this is just making stuff up because either you have no respect for the source material, or you haven't read it, or a combination of the two. Because I guess there's a third option. You fucking hate the source material, and you can do it better.
I'm gonna say mostly the first 2 and a little bit of the third sprinkled in for good measure.
As a viewer as well, I mean, okay, stop giving me false endings to episodes. That's really, really annoying when you get an episode, and then I understand you have 3 plot lines going on at once here. Well, maybe 4 if you count Celebrimbor now. But you've got the Gandalf / halflings story, you've got the Dwarven story, and you have the Galadriel story. So maybe the 4th one is a Celebrimbor, but I kind of wrap that together into sort of the Elvish story. So every single episode seems like they want to have a little like final scene with every single person, maybe a cliffhanger, because nothing really happens, and all of this talking they're doing, like some directors and some movie makers and some TV showrunners are great at making dialogue drive a story forward.
Yeah.
They really are. And some people aren't. Not everyone can be a Quentin Tarantino. I get that, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
But if you're gonna rely on dialogue to tell your story, at least have it move.
Yeah,
you know?
Be interesting. Have some stakes, not just have like random half-baked conversations that feel more like you're chatting with a friend over coffee about, you know, your dick boss. Mm-hmm. Than world-shattering, ending things with Sauron rising.
Because at this point, like, just because we know Sauron as a bad dude from the Lord of the Rings movies doesn't mean that they're showing us any of the bad dudeness. Like,
if anything, actually, Sauron has been proving to be a helpful because he saves the fucking elves. He saves Lindon.
Who's the bad guy in this except for this new bad wizard that we just saw and his minions there's some sort of a curse of the flesh on them.
Yeah.
That's why they're wearing fucked up, useless armor and masks.
Yeah.
So again, it's just, you gotta have good guys and bad guys in a fantasy story, right? I mean, there are some versions of expectations out there. Some authors do a very good job of that, but Tolkien really didn't fuck around with trying to differentiate between good and bad and evil. Like, there was bad guys and good guys, and it was the final battle sort of thing. This is the fight, the never-ending fight between those two forces, and they take many faces and many shapes in many different battles and many ages. But at the end of the day, the good guys were the good guys, the bad guys were the bad guys. And when you sort of dilute Sauron's evilness, you don't really have anyone to root against, and therefore you're not rooting for anybody. Like, the stakes of the elves having to die didn't really feel that existential because you didn't do a good job of making me care in the show. Like,
you
it's just kind of
You have a visual representation of a tree, but you don't understand, like, all right, if the tree dies, then what happens exactly? What does happen to the elves? Do they literally start rotting to death? Is that what happens? Do they just diminish and become more men-like, and the wisdom starts fading, and they're, like, they just kind of get, like, exiled to the annals of history? Is it? I mean, like, yeah, like, you just don't know. So yeah, like, that part, it doesn't feel thing. I mean, like, the dwarves, like, losing their light, that actually means
that
something
actually
because they
feels
can't
like
grow. They can't grow anything anymore. So great, your kingdom is starving to death.
I think once again, the dwarven part of this story is the only part that's actually kind of strong.
Yeah.
I thought it was well done. Like, I actually do care about what happens to the dwarves, even though they don't tell me I have to, and that this isn't, like, existential to their existence on Earth. But they're showing me all the right things. It's a great metaphor for their civilization having issues when all the lights suddenly go out at once.
Yeah.
Like, you feel it, you know it, you can sense the panic.
Yeah, it's visceral on all levels for our minds.
That's a great job. And there's just none of that right now for the main characters, because for better or worse, Galadriel and her folks are the main characters of this story so far. Durin and co are side characters. Gandalf is like a side character from a different book, is what it feels like.
Actually, that actually brings into a really good point. Like, one of the biggest flaws that this show has, and one of the reasons why the dwarven story works, is because these dwarves die. You know that Elrond and Galadriel live. So no point in this story are you ever concerned about their safety,
their well-being,
because
and
they're fine.
Yeah.
Like, nothing, even if they got captured by Adar and almost tortured to death, you'd still be like, I don't give a shit, because I know the future.
That being said, there are great storytelling ways to get around that. Like, let's just reel this back to something else. Wheel of Time. You know that Rand is a dragon reborn, and you know that they're going to win. There's no, like, doubt in your mind. Like, as long as the series is going to be completed, you know that the good is going to beat the light.
Yeah.
Right? So Rand is fucked. But the whole way that you go about
getting him to the end,
his madness and him straying way too close to darkness, and you feel like heartbroken when you see these things happening, and you feel elation when he breaks through. There's going to be none of this here. I don't like I know that Rand doesn't die in the Wheel of Time, or he's going to triumph, and it doesn't stop me from despairing at the descent into madness.
Yeah.
I know Gandalf and Elrond and Galadriel all have large parts to play thousands of years in the future, but you gotta make me care about what's going on now. Like, if there's an existential threat to the world, you gotta figure out a way to make me feel it.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna tell you, the showrunners, how to do that. You are supposed to know how to do this. You are getting paid this money. Like, you have the source material. I'm supposed to enjoy it. And maybe I'm being harsh on you, and I'm speaking to you, Amazon people, things, entities, creatures, little golems living in the depths of Amazon's basement trying to make a show.
Yes, pretty buck, you little bean counters.
Yes, you are ruining fantasy for all of us. You're actually setting back the genre on television by creating this kind of stuff. It's really, really disappointing. No one's going to want to watch more of it because you make it so dull and uninteresting and so boring. Your characters lack emotional depth. Describe Galadriel, without describing her appearance. And without using her Lord of the Rings or any of the knowledge. Just what's presented to you in this show.
Pouty, insufferable, strong-willed, reckless, and another word. I don't know, but I get your meaning though, because I can't think of a single real attribute that I like, because that's why all the words I just think were all negative.
They're all negative. They're all pouty. They're all sort of childish.
Yeah.
And the elves should not feel childish.
No, they're not the lesser elves singing in the trees in Rivendell having a baller ass time. We're talking about the high elves here, the fucking nobility of the elves, the wisest of the elves, the most far-sighted of the elves,
who are discussing their collective futures.
Yeah. You've got thousands of years of history between them, thousands of years of personal growth that they all had to go through to get to this point, and they are all have the emotional equivalency of a 14-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's the problem with trying to modernize television sometimes. Like, you know what? Let them speak sort of flowery and oldish. It's okay. They don't have to have modern colloquialisms and ways of speech. Make it different just a bit. Like, make it just enough to where we feel that they're not like us.
Yeah.
You know, that their concerns are larger. Their lives take up a scope that we can't conceive of because ours are a flash in the pan to their millennia.
Exactly. Yeah.
Show us that, please. You know, this can be saved, assuming, well, I don't know. I mean, obviously the rest of season 2 has been written. I haven't watched it yet, so that doesn't matter. So clearly, no matter what I feel about it, nothing's going to change in this season. But it's going to keep on for 5 seasons. You gots to do something better.
Yeah, please, season 3. It's fucking good. It's in production right now. Make it better. Like, I mean, there's so many good things you could do. There's a shitload of battles to come. You can add some fun subterfuge, just mix in some flavor. Not just pepper and salt, but actual spices.
And don't we think we need to move the plot a little bit more quickly? I'm okay with slow-moving shows, but this seems like nothing is... It's slow to the point of molasses. Like, some big things have happened, like Mordor has been created.
Yeah.
But it was just like, boom, literally.
At the
end. It's there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Elendil. What's going on with him? I mean, we know he's not dead because it's fucking Elendil. Once again, if you're gonna try to make me care with the whole, he's gonna be gone for 3 episodes, choose a character that we don't know has a huge role to play in the future still.
Yeah.
Or do something else interesting with this character. Like, there's nothing better you could do than to pretend to kill him off so that he can come back miraculously.
What are you talking about? Isildur.
Isildur. Whatever. Elendil, Isildur. They're all very important parts, and we haven't seen them. But yes, I was talking about Isildur. Sorry about that, guys and gals, but you know.
And then also, don't have a 2,000-year time gap between your story plots, because if you're talking about when the rings are getting forged and the time of Elendil, Isildur, Anorian, and Pharazôn,
they're not contemporary.
2,000 years difference here. Like, don't even try to fucking retcon that shit in. Like, just no.
Well, the exasperation will continue next week, I'm sure, with
it gets worse.
Next episode.
It gets worse. Like this season gets progressively worse. And the ending battle is so fucking stupid, we might actually spend 30 minutes bitching about it just tactically. Like, it is... I can't wait to get to it, but, like, my fucking god. These people, just no one has ever... Just common sense, for fuck's sake. I mean, all of it. Just common sense. I can't go. I will dial that back for when this happens.
We are creating our own Mordor right here in the studio, so to prevent Druin from erupting once again, I will close with this one final thought, and it is the same thought that I started off with, that this is a show written by children for children. They think we're stupid, so they write it stupid. Or they are stupid and can't conceive of people understanding the story, so they write it stupidly. Either way, stupid is as stupid does, and Rings of Power is stupid incarnate.
Indeed. And if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe down below. Check out our Patreon, check out our Reddit, and we will see you guys next time.